How's it going, everybody? Nicky D here, coming at July, man, yet again today. Another Reddit video where we just read a post, and hopefully it's got it's a little controversial, and we're gonna get into it. What I mean by controversial Reddit posting is normally when someone posts on a Reddit, they get downvoted, so let's get the dislikes onto it, and people comment and they go, "By the way, you suck," right? So I think it's interesting when that happens because you're trying to get the perspective, and you like to see what happens. So apparently, this is not the poster's account. It is their friend's screenshot, and it was posted in r/Tinder. So we have to assume it's Tinder, but we don't know. The only thing I could get is I read a comment from them as I'm speaking now, and it says apparently it again was the friend's comment, the friend's picture, and they are both males. So here we go. Let's find out what happens. So we're going right into it. We don't have any context except two males supposedly on Tinder. Let's talk about it. So the first message: I'm bored AF. What are you learning? Work policy and stuff. If you're bored with all that good stuff, IDK. If there's any hope for you, I think you have brain rot. There's nothing I enjoy more than reading through a company workplace standards booklet on a chill Saturday night. Okay, I'll comment everything at the end of the page. I really mean to do that. It's not like a boring lesson. It's just the teacher not teaching and just ask us to read the lesson by ourselves. Been reading for like an hour. Who would not get bored? Don't say there's no hope for me and brain rot shit. I don't believe in that. So I think this conversation's already taken a turn for the worst. So you're making a joke online, right? That can be interpreted in many, many ways. So I could make that joke about brain rot, and my friend could laugh right in person. I could text my friend that joke and they would laugh in person. You don't know this person. You don't know how they will interpret something. And this is the problem. I often see this all the time is jokes just get completely misinterpreted. Oh, I didn't mean that, right? But they're taking it another way, right? I don't even think it's really that great of a joke, but it's like, you're reading a work manual. Like, what a loser, right? Like they don't know how to take that, right? So they're trying to understand your humor, and that can be a problem, which I'm sure it's going to get interesting. The comments looked very interesting, so hang on. So at the bottom of that, there was one more message. Buddy responded like 4 times. There's one more on the second page. Second page, I said quite offensive. All right, that's very important. I believe in brain rot 100%. I got stuck in an elevator for 2 hours without my phone, and it was unbearable. Effing unbearable, may I remind you. Sung every song I knew, tried to paint a fingerprint mural on the street walls. That kept me entertained for like 15 minutes. I was pretty sure I got brain rot. Okay. Buddy goes, brain rot is such a childish term. I really dislike when people use it. It sounds like something straight off TikTok, not something you'd expect from an adult. It just means attention deficit, which is very common these days, hence the modern term being created. He responds, but it shows that it's cut off to the third screen. We'll talk about the second. This is already pretty exhausting. I got to be honest. I think there's no hope for this conversation. This is like when Buddy says, "Hey, by the way," I think what you're saying is offensive, and you're kind of like doubling down on it. I think the person posting and sending the screenshot in the blue, I think is trying to make a bit more lighthearted humor out of it, where the other person is not appreciating it at all. I think you just kind of cut your losses here. I gotta be honest. I think it's easier when you're online dating. You've never met, cut your losses, right? Don't argue back and forth, right? Saying there's no hope for me just because I find a class boring is actually wild. Just because you enjoy something doesn't make it universally interesting, and acting like it does is pretty arrogant. If that's your idea of a thoughtful response, maybe there's less hope than you think for you. We'll talk about it after. I have a lot to say right there. IDK, if you get the sarcasm of that statement. If you don't find work policy interesting, and most people don't, I don't find work policy interesting, and most people don't. I was trying to make a joke. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, I guess it wasn't clear. My bad. Yes, we'll read. His response is at the bottom, but we will not read all of it. I'll read what's shown and come back. The classic "it was sarcasm" fallback. Love that. If your idea of sarcasm is telling someone there's no hope for them over a class opinion, maybe work on your delivery. It came off more condescending than clever, but... okay, so I'm going to be completely honest. The person responding is an asshole. I try not to swear too much in this channel because the monetization. But I got to be honest, you're acting like a complete entitled douchebag here. Buddy obviously has apologized. He has said, hey, listen, that joke was in bad taste, and I don't think it was translated well over text. I apologize, right? That is a great way to back out of that and admit fault, right? Hey, listen, okay, maybe that was in poor taste in my end. I apologize, right? I'm going off. I'm going to be honest. If I was at work and they were like, "Hey, go read the workplace policy for your spare time," I'd be bored as I'd be getting brain rot too, right? I'd be taking a hammer to my head. It wouldn't be a good time. So that is a common opinion, right? That's fair. That is a completely common opinion. Most people don't want to read workplace policies in their spare time or at work or for whatever reason. They don't want to do it, right? I had a store manager not even want to do the yearly training we had to do. He's like, well, sucks, right? That's reasonable, right? That's a reasonable thing. And to make a joke about it is reasonable. But sure, it's a joke online, can be misinterpreted. You don't know the person. That's fair, right? And he apologized, right? So instead of going, listen, it's okay. Let's just move past it, right? Let bygones be bygones. No. Let's double down and call him out and say you're condescending. You're condescending, right? You are. It's like, dude. That's gonna be the thumbnail. Like, just like, there's no point in doing that. Okay, next page. There's apparently a little bit more, but this was the end of it. Hey, if you pretend to enjoy workplace standard booklets is your bit, at least commit to the character. He goes, okay, I do apologize for any misunderstanding. It was just a misinterpreted joke. That's a fantastic response. Fair enough. You can believe me or not, I couldn't really care. You seem to have a lot of passion over this, which is weird. I think we're done, though. Hey, good luck with things. Buddy says, just came off harsher than a joke at first, so I took it that way. I thought the sarcasm was clear since curling up on a Saturday reading a workplace standards guide is pretty universally effed. Okay, quick response. We'll move on quickly. He apologized again. I think that was a great way to say it. Buddy said, fair enough. I gotta be honest, I actually hate that response because it could have took him to apologize as well. To be like, hey, listen, sorry, maybe I took it a little far too, right? But fair enough is only making him apologize and you going, yeah, I was right? That's how I interpret that from reading it. Buddy says, listen, I don't even think you need to explain. He understands well enough that this is over. So don't explain it. Don't break it down. Just say, listen, I don't think this is probably going to work. Have a good one. Good luck to you. Right? Buddy says, it came off harsher, so I took it that way. Don't respond. That's all I'm saying, right? Don't respond. Don't keep answering him, right? Don't come back and try to break it up and go, hey, look, you're on a Saturday and you're reading a workplace policy document. That's kind of weird. I was making a joke. Like, you can understand. Don't explain your humor. Move on, dude. Move on. For the love of God, move on, right? They don't care. You don't care. I don't care. Nobody cares. Next page. You'd have to think I'm a real D-head. I'm trying not to swear for the rest of the video. If you thought that was real, puts a laughing emoji. Here, English isn't my first language, so sometimes I don't catch sarcasm right away, especially with slang. That's probably why I took it the way I did. That's fair. I just feel like it's best to give me the benefit of the doubt in that case. Instead of coming in hot, you never know what you stated above. In hot, you know what you stated above. Sorry I get defensive when I feel attacked. It's not an excuse. I know what I said was offensive. I'm truly sorry. Okay, I actually don't really mind this, but I will pick it apart a little bit, of course. So Buddy apologizes that it's not his first language, so it's not being picked up. Even more reason you might not want to make a joke, right? With brain rot. Just say, oh, wow, that sounds like it's fun. Haha, kidding. That's a joke. He can understand that, right? That also being said, he calls him out directly. The poster calls him out directly, right? Hey, you kind of came in pretty hot. You should read what you wrote there above. You know what you wrote above. That's a very, very, very confrontational statement. You have directly challenged him. And when you already tried to end it and go, hey, listen, let's go our own way. Good luck to you out there. Don't understand why you're doing that. Buddy really apologizes. Listen, I got defensive when I feel attacked. I don't feel like you were attacked, by the way, but I feel like the joke wasn't maybe in bad taste and misinterpreted. That is fair, but you weren't attacked, right? That's another argument for another day. But last page. That's fair. He goes, sorry, I get defensive. We got that. Your reaction, even if you believe it was not sarcasm, was completely disproportional and condescending. I appreciate you apologized, but like I said before, it was very off-putting and weirdly aggressive, so we should probably just end things here. Final notes on the topic, because I try to wrap this up. I like to talk about these, okay? I find them very interesting. I actually was rooting with the poster up until about here, or the page before. You are now coming off, like, really, to me, like, entitled. I think my camera is going to die, so if it does, we'll wrap it up really, really quick. You're coming off entitled. Don't keep responding. End the conversation. You know what you did. You don't need to keep calling him out and saying he's offensive. We got it. All right, camera's dead. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.